Yum. Hello, happy April! Super excited to film and post this video. I decided to choose my April TBR based off of my friend's sister and boyfriend's favorite books. Essentially, I asked each of them what their all-time favorite books are and why. I had so much fun just talking with them and getting their recommendations. I'm pretty excited to edit clips of them in this video, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I don't know why I do this to myself, but I just had a big Italian pasta lunch and I'm, again, get over this food coma, so I got another drink, hype myself and wake myself up. I don't normally drink Coke Zero or Coke, but my parents drank my Milkis, which I was gonna drink, so I am left with this Coke. Yum. Okay. All right, so let's get started with the first recommendation. My friend Ada. Woo! Let's go, Ada. Ada has been my friend since high school. Yeah, we go way back. I just thought of her first as someone to ask for book recommendations this month. I wanted to hear what her favorite books are because Ada's a book girly. Like, she reads a lot of books. This girl read 41 books last year, and this is me stalking her on Goodreads. She reads such a wide variety of books, so I was just really curious to hear what her favorite book or books of all time were. Aside from being a book girly, Ada's just flippin' hilarious and also just the sweetest, nicest, and cutest person ever. I just really admire her perspective on the world / life in general. Also, I love her because every time I ask her if she wants to come climbing with me, she's like, sure. Lol. The books she recommended this month were Piranesi by Susanna Clark and The Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. For Piranesi, she wrote, I recommend going in blind. Trust the process. It starts out very slow. And for The Dream House, she wrote, objectively a tough book to swallow, but also one of the most interestingly written books I've ever encountered. Okay, so those explanations are pretty interesting. They definitely capture my attention. She said to go into Piranesi blind, so I won't look too much into the background of the book, so I'm truly going in blind. For The Dream House, on the other hand, I did look this book up, and it's categorized as horror. I don't think I've ever read a horror book in my life, let alone the last time I watched a horror movie was maybe more than 5 years ago. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about The Dream House during and afterwards. I feel like I might be in nightmare land, and this is fine. I'll deal with it because she gave such raving review of it and it looks like it'll really stick with me. I don't know in a good way, but it'll stick with me. Although now that I'm reading the book summary, it is categorized as a memoir / nonfiction, so I don't think what I'm thinking of in terms of horror is completely correct, because I'm thinking of like horror in the sense of very fictional, but I think this will be more horror in terms of her life experience, but we'll see. I have no idea. We'll see. I'm excited to read this book and Piranesi, so thank you, Ada, for the recommendations. Moving on to book recommendation / recommender number 2. The second person I asked for book recommendations is my sister Jennifer. She's also someone who I think of as both very mentally and physically strong. I really look up to her as a person, as a sister, as a mom. She's also a yogi, a climber, a biker, and a true Disney adult. All right, so she texted me 3 book recommendations. I guess technically 3 because she recommended me 1 book and 2 series. She said, Pride and Prejudice is probably my fave, but also the Kingkiller Chronicles, 2 books so far, or the Stormlight Archives, 4 books so far. So I actually did read Pride and Prejudice last year, and I really did love it, but I don't think I'll reread it this month. So will not be choosing that book on my April TBR. I also read the first book of the Kingkiller Chronicles last year, which is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. They're actually Sammy's books. He does actually have the first and second one, so I might read the second one of the Kingkiller Chronicles series. I think it's called, I don't know the second book's title. Although there is a long controversial argument on that series because it's been apparently a long time since the author has published in that series, so a lot of people are speculating that he may never end up finishing the series. That's one of the reasons why my other friend just decided not to read the second book, because she's like unsure if the series will ever be finished, but I think I'll still give it a chance, so I may read the second book. My sister also did recommend the Stormlight Archives series, which is a series written by Brandon Sanderson. First book in that series is The Way of Kings. I did look this up on Goodreads. I think the second book in that series is ranked #1 in Goodreads' top 100 highest rated books. So that's pretty impressive. It is a science fiction novel. Oh, it is it's science fiction fantasy. I'm not sure if I'm in the mindset to read science fiction fantasy right now. I might maybe pick it up next month. I just feel like every time I read science fiction, I'm like going back and forth, because there's just so much world building, which is great. World building is great, but it needs a lot of focus. And I don't know if I can focus on a science fiction novel right now, but I will give them a try. So shout out and thank you to my sister Jennifer for those recommendations. Moving on to the third recommendation / recommendor. The third person I asked for book recommendations this month was my boyfriend, Sammy. He didn't really give me a reason to why it was his favorite book. I will ask him later. He did say his favorite book is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Excuse my Russian. Sammy has a lot of famous Russian novels in the house. I think he has books by Leo Tolstoy and also the guy who wrote Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov. He has a lot of Russian literature, which I don't know if I'll ever get to. I also own a copy of Crime and Punishment. I think I had it since high school, but I never picked it up. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to finally read it per recommendation of my boyfriend, my loving boyfriend, since it is his favorite book. You know, I think another reason why I never picked it up is because the freaking book cover is so scary. It's so scary. So, you know, I didn't want the book to give me nightmares in high school. Apparently this is the best translation though, so I will be reading Sammy's copy. We also watched a Netflix show that I think is loosely based off of the novel. The Netflix show is called A Killer Paradox. It's a Korean Netflix show, and it was really good. It's a thriller mystery / crime show. It follows a student that accidentally kills someone. It ends up that guy he killed is actually a bad person, like a murderer, I think. Anyway, the Netflix show was really good, and Sammy was like, oh, I think this is based off Crime and Punishment, which I really loved. If Crime and Punishment is anything like that show, probably less comedic, the show is slightly comedic, then I feel like I may like it. And it's also a classic, so I think I should give it a try. That is the third book I will read, or I guess the fourth book I will read this month. Okay, moving on to my last recommendation. The last person I asked for book recommendations is my friend Christine. She is my climber friend, but she's also a teacher, and I think she majored in English, so I feel like I really just was curious to hear her favorite book as an English major. But yeah, I would also like to mention that Christine is a badass, strong AF, although she likes to deny it, and I would probably never climb slab if it weren't for her, lol.
And are these voiceovers just an excuse to show off my friends? Maybe.
She didn't give me a recommendation yet. She was still thinking of a list. She did mention Tomorrow as a really good book. I see her tomorrow for climbing, so I will get the book recommendations from her tomorrow. We'll see what she says. Hello, friends. Okay, so I did not see Christine at the gym today. She unfortunately is recovering from a cold, so she did not make it out, but with the power of technology, I still got her recommendations via text message. When I asked her to give me her all-time favorite book, she was like, oh, that's like asking me to choose my favorite child, which I realize this is a pretty hard question to ask someone, like what their favorite book is, because there's so many good books out there. Then I let her tell me at least 3. I would also like to mention that Christine is also a book girly. She reads a lot, and I don't have a Goodreads to stalk her book account, but I've been to her house before and she does have a bookshelf of a wide variety of genres and titles. This is what she wrote back to me. Okay, I think for me, of all time means high rereadability and that I've read it over and over, so that probably makes these 3. Pride and Prejudice, Chronicles of Narnia, maybe Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. She also wrote Cloud Cuckoo Land was the best book I've read in the past 2 years, ? Since I am trying to read some new books, I probably won't be picking up Pride and Prejudice, which my sister also recommended, and Chronicles of Narnia, which I read a long time ago, so maybe it's not a bad idea to pick that up sometime soon. But I think I will try to read her other recommendations, Heir to the Empire and Cloud Cuckoo Land. Christine told me that Heir to the Empire is actually a Star Wars book, and I did let her know that I'm a bit hesitant to start a science fiction book this month because I don't know if I have the focus and just time for it. And she told me that it's actually a really easy to read book, and if I already know the Star Wars lore, it won't be too difficult to pick up, so maybe. But also, the way she described Cloud Cuckoo Land really got my attention. She said that it's historical fiction from lots of different perspectives, but all the stories weave together. It's really beautiful. She did mention that it is kind of slow in the middle, but I have to stick it out to the end because the end makes it all worth it. So who knows, maybe I'll pick up that book too. But realistically speaking, I think I got like 7 book recommendations this month, and I'm a pretty slow reader. I don't know if I can get to all of these book recommendations. I already did put Piranesi and In the Dream House on hold at the library, so I think I have to read those too. I kind of really want to read Cloud Cuckoo Land, and then I'll probably read Crime and Punishment. But I don't know if I can read the King Killer Chronicles series or the books that my sister recommended, so those may wait till next month. Sorry, Jennifer. All right, well, thanks for sticking around and listening to my April TBR, which were recommendations by my loving friends and family and boyfriend. I'm excited this month. Lots of good books to read. Stick around, I guess, for the end of this month when I talk about them again. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye. Why is this cutting such a struggle?
Why? Sir, can you like hold it from this end?
Teamwork.
Yeah. Yes, Jimmy. They're so not gonna hire you at so. Can you please hold it up? Burn my fingers!
Pay attention.